We're not heading into the modern part of Coober Pedy. We're going back in time, before the sealed highways, before the tourist shops, and before the town became what it is today. There was an older road leading deep into the desert where the original miners first settled searching for opal over 100 years ago. That old dirt track was once the main way into Coober Pedy. Along are forgotten houses, old mining camps, and pieces of history that most people drive straight past without ever knowing they exist. So today, we're following the original road into the old Coober Pedy area to see what still remains out there in the middle of the desert. Let's go explore. The history of that area is really fascinating because Coober Pedy didn't begin as a normal town at all. It started as scattered mining camps after opal was discovered in 1915. In the early decades, there were only rough dirt tracks instead of sealed roads. Travelers heading north through central Australia used primitive routes that later became the Stuart Highway. Miners built tiny camps, dugouts, sheds, and corrugated iron huts wherever opal was found. The town was spread out and messy rather than having a planned center. The old dirt road you explored was probably one of these earlier transport routes that people used before the highway was upgraded and straightened. When the sealed highway improved over time, traffic moved away from those older alignments, leaving behind isolated houses, mining camps, ruins, shafts, and old machinery. A lot of people don't realize how different Coober Pedy once looked. Before air conditioning and modern services, many residents lived underground because the heat was brutal. Supplies arrived slowly by truck over rough roads. Some families stayed permanently in very remote little clusters outside the main township. Early miners often lived extremely simply while chasing opal fields. Those few houses you saw along the road are likely remnants of that older settlement pattern. Some may still be occupied by miners or long-term locals who prefer isolation away from town. You may also have noticed old mullock heaps, rusted machinery, vertical mine shafts, handmade dugout entrances, old fuel drums or abandoned vehicles, telephone poles following the old road alignment. That whole landscape around Coober Pedy is almost like an open-air history museum because so much of the old mining infrastructure was simply left where it was. One thing many visitors find eerie is how quiet those old roads are now compared to decades ago, when they were the main lifeline into town. Before the highway upgrades, that dusty track would have seen miners, fuel trucks, travelers, and supplies slowly making their way through the desert. It's actually really valuable that you explore these places carefully because you get to see parts of Coober Pedy most tourists never experience.
Back in the early days of Coober Pedy, this road would have been one of the only ways into town. Imagine driving through here over 100 years ago with no sealed roads, no GPS, and barely any services for hundreds of kilometers. The name Coober Pedy comes from an Aboriginal phrase often translated as white man in a hole, which makes sense because so many miners ended up living underground to escape the desert heat. Some of the miners who arrived here in the early 1900s came with almost nothing except picks, shovels, and hope that they'd strike valuable opal. Back then, the landscape would have been filled with tents, smoke from campfires, old trucks, and miners working day and night searching for opal. A lot of the old machinery and mine shafts around here were simply abandoned when miners moved on or ran out of luck. Some of these isolated homes along the old road may have been standing here for decades, surviving brutal heat, dust storms, and isolation in the middle of the desert. Before modern highways, travelers heading through central Australia had to rely on rough dirt tracks like this. Long-distance trips could take days longer than they do now. The desert around Coober Pedy might look empty, but beneath the surface is one of the world's richest opal fields. People from all over the world came here chasing the dream of finding a fortune hidden underground. Even today, you still have to be careful exploring around old mining areas because there are thousands of hidden shafts scattered throughout the landscape. This landscape might look quiet and empty, but surviving out here has never been easy. Summer temperatures in Coober Pedy can reach extreme levels, which is one of the reasons so many people built homes underground. The desert around Coober Pedy is beautiful, but it can also be dangerous. If a vehicle breaks down out here without water or supplies, The heat can become life-threatening very quickly. At night, the desert completely changes. Temperatures can suddenly drop, the landscape becomes silent, and you start hearing wildlife moving around in the darkness. Many tourists don't realize this area is home to some of Australia's toughest desert animals, including snakes, wild dingoes, huge lizards, scorpions, and spiders, adapted to survive in extreme conditions. Even though the land looks dry and lifeless, there's actually a surprising amount of wildlife surviving out here. Dust storms can suddenly roll through this area and completely reduce visibility, especially along old dirt roads like these. Living out here in the early mining days would have been incredibly harsh. Miners dealt with heat, isolation, dust, flies, lack of water, and dangerous mining conditions every single day. Before modern communication, if something went wrong out here, help could be a very long way away. Some people came to Coober Pedy chasing fortune and never found it, while others struck life-changing opal hidden beneath this harsh desert ground. Out here, the desert doesn't care who you are. The heat, the isolation, and the landscape have tested people for generations. But that same harshness is what makes Coober Pedy so unique. Most tourists never leave the main part of town, but beyond the highway is the older side of Coober Pedy, where history, isolation, and the desert all meet together. What many tourists don't realize is that these old mining areas can actually be very dangerous. Beneath the surface are thousands of hidden shafts, tunnels, and unstable ground left behind from over a century of opal mining. Some mine shafts are only covered by loose dirt or old timber, making parts of the landscape risky to walk across if you don't know the area. A lot of the old camps were extremely isolated. Miners often lived alone for long periods in tiny dugouts or makeshift shelters surrounded by nothing but desert. In the early days, miners worked in brutal heat using basic equipment, often hoping a single opal find would completely change their lives. Many people came to Coober Pedy chasing fortune, but mining was never guaranteed money. Some miners spent years searching without finding enough opal to make a living. Tourists often see the colorful opals in shops, but they don't always see the dangerous and difficult conditions miners faced underground. Old abandoned machinery, rusted vehicles, and collapsed mine entrances scattered through the desert are reminders of how tough life once was here. Out here, even simple mistakes could become serious. Vehicle breakdowns, lack of water, heat exhaustion, or getting lost in remote mining fields were genuine dangers. The flies, dust, heat, and isolation were all part of everyday life for the early miners. Some of these old mining camps almost feel frozen in time, like the desert simply swallowed them and left only traces behind. Every mound of dirt out here tells a story. Somebody dug here believing they were only one strike away from becoming rich. The desert around Coober Pedy is filled with abandoned dreams, hidden tunnels, and forgotten mining camps most people never even notice. Thank you for coming along on this journey through the older side of Coober Pedy, beyond the tourist spots, beyond the modern highway, and back to the rough desert tracks where this incredible mining town first began. Out here, you can still feel the history, the isolation, the harsh landscape, and the determination of the miners who came searching for opal in one of the toughest environments in Australia. Most people only see the surface of Coober Pedy, but hidden beyond the main town are the old roads, forgotten camps, abandoned mines, and stories that help shape this place into what it is today. I hope you enjoyed exploring this part of the desert with me and seeing a side of Coober Pedy that many tourists never get to experience.
I was sipping nice Milo in the Outback heat spot. It's something shiny right under my feet. I yelled, holy moly, that's gotta be gold. My knees gave out, I lost control.
Called the bank, called me mom, called Channel 10. Said I'm rich now, baby, never broke again.
But when I brushed it off with a gentle moan,
Turns out it was just a KFC bone to the nugget was a chicken bone left in the dust like a fried up bone. I danced, I cried, I planned me cruise, but all I found was old takeaway news. I thought I struck the mining throne, but I just found someone's snack zone. I dreamt of Lambos and solid gold phones, but the nugget was a chicken bone. But the nugget was a chicken bone.
Cautionary tale, still greasy, still stinking, still tragically pale. I show it to tourists and school kids too. Don't chase the sparkle or you'll end up like Shoe. Who's Shoe, you ask? He's the guy who lives in a boot-shaped dugout and thinks potch is currency.
I still sleep with it under my swag, just in case it turns into Opal by magic. The nugget was a chicken bone, but I'm still proud of what I own. I may not have wealth or fame or stocks, but I got fossilized herbs and 11 loose racks. So if you find treasure where kangaroos roam, sniff it first, it might be from home. Cause a nugget was a chicken. Was a chicken.
Dust rolls behind these old red wheels. Outback silence, desert fields, broken roads and Opal dreams. Nothing here is what it seems. Old man shafts and fading light, history sleeping in plain sight. Through the heat and desert sky, Coober Pedy rolling by. Underground where people stay, hidden from the heat each day. From the old roads back to town, sunset falling all around. Opal stories in the sand, built by miners' weathered hands. One last drive before the night, Coober Pedy shining bright. Finding opal in a rich opal mining area. I am chasing the dream of looking for opal, digging through dirt to fill a pot of treasure. I'm wanting people to be curious to find their own opal one day and visit Coober Pedy for a trip of a lifetime, for a different experience around the world.
It's amazing to think that a town built in one of the harshest desert environments in Australia became world famous because of opal. Even today, Coober Pedy still produces some of the world's most beautiful opals, attracting miners, tourists, and treasure hunters from all over the world. The airport coming into view is a reminder of how isolated this town really is. For many visitors, flying into the middle of the desert and seeing the red landscape from above is unforgettable. What makes Coober Pedy unique isn't just the opals, it's the entire atmosphere. Underground homes, mining fields stretching to the horizon, and a landscape that almost feels like another planet. A lot of movies have been filmed around Coober Pedy because the landscape looks so unusual and cinematic. If you ever visit Coober Pedy, one of the most famous things to do is stay in an underground hotel and experience what it's like living beneath the desert surface. Tourists can explore underground churches carved into the rock, which is something you don't see anywhere else. There are museums showing the history of opal mining and how the early miners survived out here in extreme conditions. The underground homes are incredible to see because from the outside they can look almost invisible, but inside they stay naturally cool and comfortable. One of the most exciting things visitors can do is noodling for opal themselves and trying their luck finding a hidden piece of treasure in the mullock heaps. Sunset viewing around Coober Pedy is also incredible. The desert lights up with deep reds, oranges, and pink colors stretching across the landscape. There are lookout points around town where you can see endless mining fields covering the desert for kilometers. You'll also find old mining machinery, giant mullock heaps, and strange moon-like landscapes that make Coober Pedy feel unlike anywhere else in Australia. Driving these old roads really gives you a different perspective on Coober Pedy. Behind the tourist attractions is a town built through hardship, isolation, determination, and the dream of discovering something valuable hidden beneath the desert. From forgotten mining tracks to underground homes and world-famous opals, Coober Pedy is truly one of Australia's most unique outback towns.
The wire fence where the red earth breaks. I saw your boots in dust by the pumping stakes. The ground keeps score, every cut and seam. You read the stone like a half-closed dream. And the day burns slow on a tin roof shine. Your hands are grit, but your eyes still blind to time. Coober Pedy, keep me there. Coober Pedy, hard and red. Under the dust, we still come up gold. Coober Pedy, don't let go. Coober cold water jars in the back of the ute, mined out hills and a radio tune. You laugh too loud at the empty road. Say every hard place has a heartbeat glow. And the sky goes white, then it turns to fire. You dig for hope like a wire in the wire. Coober Pedy, keep me there. Coober Pedy, hard and rare. Under the dust, we still come or go. Coober Pedy, don't let go. Coober Pedy. When the wind comes up and the day goes thin, I know your name in the grid again.